Hello everyone, what is up? It is me, LBMTG, and today I have a very cool video for you guys. Today we'll be taking a look at M19 standard green-red throwing dinosaurs at your opponent's face. And I know what you're thinking, Albie, is it polite to throw dinosaurs at your opponent's face? Most people would say no, so for the sake of this video and because I want to remain advertiser friendly, no, do not throw dinosaurs at your opponent's face. Without further ado, we'll go ahead and get into the video now that I'm no longer liable for any damage that would be dealt to your opponents. So this deck was inspired due to two cards from M19. Here we have 4 copies of Gigantosaurus and 4 copies of Thud. I'm willing to bet that you can see now where we got the idea for this deck. So basically you're using Thud on your Gigantosaurus to just deal 10 damage to your opponent. Nice and simple, the Gigantosaurus doesn't even need to attack. Thud being a new card here, 1 red as an additional cost to cast the spell, sacrifice a creature, and then Thud deals damage equal to the sacrificed creature's power to any target. You're going to be targeting your opponent in most cases, and so you can just dome your opponent for 10 featuring the Gigantosaurus. And so we have kind of the knockoff versions of these new M19 cards. Galta is just an additional dinosaur that we can throw at our opponent's face, and then Fling is an additional way for us to throw things at our opponent's face. Fling is super cool because Fling allows us to respond to removal spells, so if we play out a Galta or a Gigantosaurus and they try and remove it, we can respond with a Fling, and then just they waste the removal spell and take 10 or 12 damage, which is super nice. That's why we're running additional copies via Fling, but for 1 mana you just really can't say no to Thud, as what I think is the better version over Fling right now, but of course we don't actually have the cards yet, so not 100% sure yet, but I think the 1 mana reduction on Thud seems quite good in comparison to Fling. Here we have some of our mana dorks because we are trying to play out a Gigantosaurus as well as a Galta. So Llanowar Elves, we're running 4 copies here, just the best card in standard probably for green, I would say right now. And then Drover of the Mighty is an additional mana dork that we get access to. Add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool so it can get our red mana for us. And then most of the time it'll be tapping for green, but it does have the opportunity to tap for red if we need it to. And then it also gets +2/+2 as long as we control a dinosaur. There are some additional dinosaurs in the deck, but if we have out a Gigantosaurus or a Galta, then we have a 2 mana 3/3, which is just super nice. Onto some of the 3-drops that we're trying to ramp out with the Llanowar Elves. We're looking at cards like Ronus the Indomitable, Steel Leaf Champion, and Thrashing Bronzodon. Steel Leaf Champion is in the deck because, obviously, if Llanowar Elves is in the deck, you're going to be running Steel Leaf Champion. It's just kind of a no-brainer at this point. Thrashing Bronzodon, an additional dinosaur that we have access to, but this card is very nice because it also is a modal spell and could be used to destroy artifacts or enchantments. Ronus is super nice in this deck because the ability that Ronus has of giving another creature +2/+0 and trample works really well with the Gigantosaurus. Because the Gigantosaurus is just a 5 mana 10/10 with no additional keywords, it's very easy to just be chump blocked by 1/1 tokens, but Ronus the Indomitable has the opportunity to give it trample, which makes it a whole lot better. So Ronus is super nice in this deck. And then on to the next cards. These are just kind of not necessarily filler cards, but more of support cards. These just kind of round out the deck very nicely. Merfolk Branchwalker, a very solid 2-drop, does exactly what we need it to do. If it explores and finds us a land, that's great. We want to hit our land drop so we can cast our spells. Or if it gets an additional +1/+1 counter, then we're looking at a cheaper Galta, so very nice with Merfolk Branchwalker at a as a 2-drop. And then Adventurous Impulse digs us for a land if we need it, or it can dig us for one of our big dinosaurs, or even just something like a Steel Leaf Champion or a Thrashing Bronzodon if they're better in the matchup compared to some of the other cards in our main deck. Looking at the lands, we have 4 copies of Rootbound Crag, 3 copies of Sheltered Thicket. Sheltered Thicket I'm kind of a little weary of. I'm not a big fan of the Amonkhet cycling dual lands. That might just be my own personal opinion. If you like them more, then go ahead and add in an additional 4th copy. But entering the battlefield tapped is just really unfortunate. Cycling in the late game, though, can be nice if we've already hit our lands. Then we can go ahead and cycle it, find ourselves an additional creature. Onto the utility lands we have here. Because we are mainly green, the only red cards in the actual main deck that we have are the Fling and the Thud, the new card from M19. So we are mainly green, meaning our utility lands are all just green as well. So Haship Oasis and Memorial to Unity are our utility lands. Memorial to Unity is very nice because it can help us dig deeper later in the game, and then Hash Up Oasis, another way to just get some additional damage through, even though it is sorcery speed and doesn't give trample. We can create these really awkward scenarios where if they have only one blocker, we can use this to pump like a 2-1, like maybe our Merfolk Branchwalker, and then they know they have to block the Gigantosaurus, so then they have to take 5 from the Merfolk Branchwalker. So it can lead to some very good scenarios for us. And then onto the basic lands, we're looking at 12 forests and 1 mountain, because again, we are mainly green in this deck, so we want to make sure that we are hitting our green sources with the basic forests. And now onto the sideboard cards. We do have some additional red cards in the sideboard, which will make more sense as to why we had as many red sources as we do. First off, we have 2 copies of Abrade and 2 copies of Magma Spray as creature removal, which is just super nice. Then we're looking at Prowling Serpapard as a 1-of, Lifecrafter's Bestiary as a 2-of. These are ways for us to battle the control matchups. Most of the control matchups right now tend to be more on the side of just playing creature kill spells and mass removal spells as opposed to counter spells, but I do like the Prowling Serpapard because it has 4 power just already without a Ronus the Indomitable activation, so we can go ahead and attack with our Ronus the turn that Prowling Serpapard comes out, which is super nice. Lifecrafter's Bestiary, though, has been super impressive after I've been seeing matches with the mono-green Stompy list that people are playing right now in Standard against the blue-white controlled list. I'm seeing a lot of people running Lifecrafter's Bestiary, and I've been extremely impressed with it. We get a little value from the Scry, but mainly we get to keep drawing creature cards and just keep attacking our opponent with the creature cards that we're drawing. So it's very nice in the control matchups. Here we have some artifacts, 2 copies of Aether Sphere Harvester against the aggressive matchups, as well as the fact that it is flying and nothing else in our deck has flying outside of the Harvester. And then Crook of Condemnation against your graveyard decks, things like Godsparrow's Gift, Champion of Wits, and the Scarab God. All cards that care very much about your graveyard, and so Crook of Condemnation is a nice way of getting rid of those. Here we have some 1-ofs, Reclamation Sage, which again is being reprinted in M19, which is a fantastic reprint to have. So 1 Reclamation Sage. We do have 2 Thrashing Brontodons already in the main board, so 1 Reclamation Sage is just an additional hedge against those, but we do again have the 2 copies in the main board of the Brontodons, so we are fairly decent against the artifacts and enchantments already. And then here we have Heroic Intervention. Oh, we also have the Abrades as well to deal with artifacts. But here we have the Heroic Intervention, which is a nice way of dealing with mass removal, and just hexproof. If they're trying to remove our like Galta or our Gigantosaurus, we can go ahead and give it hexproof so it can live through that, and then next turn we can go ahead and attack with it and then throw it at our opponent's face for lethal. And then the final card we have here is a card that I wanted to see this card see play in so many decks, but it had a lot of potential when it was first being previewed, but just hasn't really found a slot where it fits yet, and that card is Regisaur Alpha. This card fits super nicely in this deck in the sideboard. I originally had it in the main board, but then eventually moved it to the sideboard. This is a card that you're going to bring in against the mid-range matchups, where this card just basically breaks apart the mid-range matchup. Here you can see it's 5 mana for 7 power worth of creatures, which is super nice for Galta, because we're getting more power than we're spending mana-wise, so that's super nice for Galta. And then also the fact that we can just attack with a 3/3 Trampler right away as soon as this Regisaur Alpha comes out is super nice as well. And then it has the additional upside because we do have some other random dinosaurs like the Gigantosaurus, like Galta, like Thrashing Brontodon in our deck already. Those creatures now have haste due to the Regisaur Alpha, and if things get super out of control, if we have a Regisaur Alpha and then play an additional Regisaur Alpha, and then we can attack for like 11-14, I guess is what that would be. So that's just super strong with Regisaur Alpha here. I wanted to see this card be so good, and I think this is the kind of shell that it wants to be in, even if it is just a sideboard slot. This card is absolutely fantastic, and I'm happy to see that it's finally going to get a little bit of use here in Standard. So thank you guys so much for watching the video. If you guys did enjoy it and this is your first time watching any content from me, go ahead and click that like button and then click that subscribe button. I do post daily Magic the Gathering content, and if you guys do enjoy these deck techs, go ahead and let me know down below in the comments below, as well as what cards you would think about for adding to this deck as well. If there was any changes or cards that you think I left out, go ahead and let me know. We'll have a nice talk down below in the comments. I respond to basically every single comment that I get, so chances are that if you leave a comment, I'm going to respond back to you. So again, let me know your opinions, let me know what's up. Subscribe if you're new to the channel, leave a like if you enjoyed, and I will see you guys here tomorrow for yet another daily Magic the Gathering video.